This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for Friday, the 18th day of January in the year 2019. Here's what we're tracking tonight. While not wanting to divulge details of the probe, Police Commissioner Leslie James this morning said that the probe of former Member of Parliament Charandas Persad is related to the movement of gold out of Guyana and bribery. Persad left Guyana for Canada the morning after he voted along with the opposition against his own government in a no-confidence motion. Since then, there have been allegations that he might have been bribed. While the recalled Member of Parliament has denied the bribery allegations, he has admitted to inquiring about the purchase of $1 million in gold and its shipment to Canada. At a press conference today, the police commissioner announced that a number of gold dealers have been interviewed in relation to the investigation, and those interviewed have corroborated parts of what is being investigated.
The word you use, link, would not be used by me. I would say to you that this matter is a matter of national security, as I've said the last time we spoke, I did say to you, it is a former member of parliament that is under investigation. But in terms of link, I would not use such a phrase, I would not use such a word, because what we're doing is gathering evidence at this point.
What specifically are you investigating? Is this a specific report of wrongdoing? I think that's
it's a report of alleged bribery and perhaps some movement of gold from the state of Guyana.
The police commissioner said legal advice would have to be sought on the completion of the probe, adding that it is also likely that efforts will have to be made to seek Charandas Persad's return to Guyana to face questioning.
What I can say, we've gone in a significant way. And I can say this, if we were to compare what I've read so far and what we've had, there may be reasons for us to need to speak with Mr. Persad. That much I will say at this point. I know we we interviewed a few dealers, gold dealers, as part of this investigation.
Any corroboration?
There is corroboration.
Charandas Persad is a citizen of Canada. The police commissioner said if at the end of the investigation there is a necessity to seek Persad's extradition, then that will be done. He said the investigation being done by the Guyana Police Force is an impartial investigation, and the force will continue to update the media on the progress of that investigation and its outcome. As News Source first reported, days before casting his vote in the no-confidence motion, Charandas Persad sought out and met with gold dealers about the purchase of $1 million in gold. Text messages between him and a friend seen by News Source revealed that the former Member of Parliament was making the gold purchase plans while at Parliament, and even referred to the gold as Kazrip. At a New York forum last weekend, Persad admitted to the gold purchase plans, but claimed he was inquiring for a client of his law firm. He said he sees nothing wrong with inquiring about a large gold purchase. More news coming up in a moment.
The power of digital transformation at Canto's 35th AGM and Mini Expo. On January 27th to 30th, 2019, be at the forefront of change as we discuss transitioning to a digital region, opportunities and challenges with co-host GTT at the Marriott Hotel Guyana. Network with C-level delegates and thought leaders. Explore emerging technologies at our Mini Expo. Attend the GSMA workshop and more. Register today at www.canto.org.
Get ready to ride it, ride it. Ready to ride it, ride it, ride it, ride it, ride it, ride the wave. Open up the new vibe, drink up the boldness inside. Radical and fresh and wild. Catch the wave now. Ride bold, ride fresh, ride strong. Come on, ride the wave. Taste the action, satisfaction, perfection. Wave, 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 wave.
Ride the new wave of excitement sweeping Guyana. Wave Pale Ale, a premium, full-bodied, strong and refreshing alcoholic brew, crafted to perfection for a bold, young, radical you. Don't settle for anything less. Catch a Wave Pale Ale and ride it today.
Wave Pale Ale.
Crafted to perfection.
Roam like you're home, because prepaid means more with GTT. Travel to any GTT roam zone in the US, Canada, Caribbean, Latin America, or South America, and pay the same great rates to use your data from foreign as you do when you're home. With GTT, prepaid means more. So roam like you're home with GTT, Guyana's preferred roaming network.
Welcome back. With the opposition labeling the coalition government as a caretaker government following the no confidence motion and the vote, the administration is sticking to its point that there is nothing in the Constitution that caters for any caretaker government. Minister of State Joe Harmon.
There is no provision in our Constitution that limits the exercise of the power of the government to do anything. And in that regard, the government will function in its normal capacity as a government. And all of the attendant, Minister Champion called the panoply of executive power, those will be exercised.
Mr. Harmon said the government remains legal, and as the president has indicated, the president and the government will remain in place until the next government. With regards to the signing of major deals and investment pacts, Minister Harmon told reporters that investors will realize that the government remains legal.
I think the investors will be looking carefully at what is taking place and recognize that there is a government, that the government is functioning lawfully and legally, and will continue to do their business.
The opposition leader Bara Jagdeo has been calling on the government to resign, but to stay in place in a caretaker mode until elections. Many political analysts have said that there is no caretaker government scenario in the Constitution, and therefore the government will have to continue with its functions until elections. Well, with just 2 weeks remaining before the deadline date for application for the government's Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program, the Central Housing and Planning Authority has decided to take the program to the people in an effort to get more persons to apply. Today, the officials from the department were in the Stabroek Market area, where scores of persons gathered for information about the program and to file applications.
The bottom line is to give Guyanese a better life. We say the good life, but a better life. And while we distributed the forms, the application forms to the NDCs, and we're issuing even from our central office at Brickdam, we recognize that some people, they're not getting to those locations. So rather than we wait for them to come to us, we are coming to the people.
The program has two components. The government will be building 250 low-cost core homes under the project for successful applicants as part of the Adequate Housing Drive. Those applicants must be low-income earners and must already be living in a structure on their own land in a scheme developed by Central Housing. The homes being built will be at the cost of $4 million, and the successful applicants will only have to contribute $100,000 to the initiative. They will not have to make any other payment for the home. Under the urban accessibility component of the program, 2,500 successful applicants will get up to $500,000 in building material to do home improvement projects to their existing houses. The applicants will have to cover their own labor costs. Minister responsible for housing, Valerie Patterson-Yearwood, told reporters today that over this weekend and the coming days, the government will take information booths about the program to several areas. During today's outreach in the Stabroek Market area, several house lot applicants also turned up for information on their applications for land. The minister said the government is currently moving to make more land available for allocation, but infrastructure is being put in place first.
We have just opened up the Peters Hall where the allocations were done, but the people, we asked them to wait until infrastructure is completed. That's now completed. Persons are going there to identify their lots, and that's over 300 plus. We have the Providence Phase 4 project, similar. People are going there very shortly, they will be called, but the infrastructure is done. We're working now on Prospect. On the East Bank, And very soon we'll start work at the Cummins Lodge. We had some issues with ownership, having the land transferred to us. And so we're still working on that. But before the end of the first quarter of this year, that project should commence.
Minister Patterson Yearwood said by the first quarter of this year, new housing areas will be rolled out in several communities. The minister reminded that when the coalition government took office 3 years ago, it faced a backlog of over 30,000 applications. She said efforts are being made to clear up most of that backlog, even as new applications are coming in. Well, let's tell you now that the People's Progressive Party is continuing its search for a presidential candidate. And according to the party's General Secretary Barrett Jagdeo, all 5 of the contenders for the post have committed to supporting whoever eventually emerges as the presidential candidate for the PPP. Mr. Jagdeo said he prefers a consensus candidate being chosen over the choice going down to a vote.
It's always better to have a consensus candidate. In any organization, that's the ideal thing. But one thing that happened is that in the presentations, that every single one of the 5 said, if I do not become the candidate, I will work and support the other person. They all said that explicitly. This was asked of everyone, and they said that.
So far, all 5 of the candidates have remained in place and have not given an indication of backing out of the race. Jagdeo said regardless of who wins the race, he will not be taking a backseat in the party.
I'm not taking no backseat until we win the elections. I'm General Secretary. I'm General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party. You'll see me working hard every day in the interior, on the coast, everywhere. Working harder than even now until we win the elections, and then I think I would have earned a level thing to move to the back seat.
Mr. Jagdeo said that PPP is his party and he has always been working for the party, and that will continue. Finally, tonight we turn our attention to the courts. Another Cuban national found himself before the court today, facing a charge of overstaying his time in Guyana. The man, Jonieres Lazaro Delgado, appeared before a court and pleaded guilty to this charge of overstaying his time in Guyana. He was ordered deported and fined $30,000. It is alleged that between the 14th of December last year and the 17th of January this year, the Cuban man failed to comply with immigration conditions attached to his arrival in the country. He was only permitted to stay in Guyana from November 5th to the 13th of December. The police prosecutor noted that the accused is currently under investigation for an alleged threat being made. It was revealed that the threat was made while he behaved disorderly and a complaint was filed. Attorney at law Bernard De Silva, who represented the accused, explained to the court that his client was at the time seeking his U.S. visa when he was arrested. He requested that the accused not be deported immediately, but rather be allowed to stay for another 2 weeks so that he could wrap up his appointment at the U.S. Embassy. The extension was granted, but it was made clear that the deportation order will take effect in 2 weeks. And 28-year-old Patrick Smith and 25-year-old Lincoln Trotman found themselves before a city magistrate today, facing a charge of stealing over $13 million from a local business. It is alleged that they broke into the store between the 10th of January and the 11th of January at King Street, Georgetown, and carted off the money. The 2 accused stood before the magistrate Leron Daly and were jointly charged with the offense. They both pleaded not guilty to the charge, but were remanded to jail. The court was told that this was not the first time that the 2 have appeared in court in a similar matter. They were even caught on camera during one of the acts. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. Gordon Mosley reporting.